the Senate, at its meeting on Wednesday, 14th February, considered the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation for the confirmation of appointments of 12 nominations for appointment as members of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and the Senate referred same to this committee for further legislative action. The listed numbers, the 12, they are on page 12, starting from the governor, the current governor, and the deputy governors, 5 of them, the PAMSEC, who is a member of the committee representing the Federal Ministry of Finance, and 5 new members, Professor Murtala Sagagi, Aloysius Odu, Mrs. Aku Odi Kemelu, Mr. Mustafa Akiumi, and Mr. Bandili Amo. On page 3, we have the methodology that was adopted by the committee. And moving on to so on that page 3, it is important that I make this further comment. In furtherance of this legislative mandate, the committee requested for and received the curriculum vitae of and security clearance and other relevant documents of the nominees and invited them to appear before the committee for screening. The Senate may wish to be informed that the following, who have either been screened and confirmed by the Senate as governor and deputy governors of the central bank and or are statutory and institutional members, no longer require further screening. They are Mr. Olayemi Cardosso, the CBN governor, Mohamed Sani Abdullahi, the CBN deputy governor, Mr. Bala M. Bello, CBN deputy governor, MS Emen Usoro, CBN deputy governor, and Mr. Philip Ikeazo, CBN deputy governor, and Jafia Lydia Shehu, a permanent secretary, Ministry of Finance representative. On page 4, we have the chairman's remarks, and on 4.0, the nominees appeared before the committee on Wednesday, 21st of February 2024, and were accordingly screened on the available information as follows. Mr. Lamido Yuguda, we have his profile on pages 4 running up to page 5. But in a quick summary, Lamido Yuguda is the current Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission and has been nominated for confirmation in his personal capacity. He has over 3 decades of experience in banking, accounting, finance, economics, and investment management. Now, we also have Professor Sagagi, who is also an enterprise development and investment promotion specialist with over 32 years of experience. So you also have his CV running from page 6 to page 7. And we also have that of Aloysius Odu. His CV runs from page 7 to 8, and he's currently a senior fellow and director of African Growth Initiative in the Global Economy and Development Program.
Is there anyone you don't have the CV? So what are the recommendations? Use your mic. You can educate us on your findings and thereafter your recommendations.
Okay, Mr. President. Okay. So all the nominees are experienced in economics and financial services, and our recommendations are therefore on page 7. But it's also important that I also quickly summarize our findings, that their appointments are in accordance with the provisions of the Act, that the nominees possess the requisite qualification, that we did not receive any petition against any of the nominees, and that the nominees have been cleared by the Nigerian Police Force, Department of State Security, and they have their Code of Conduct acknowledgement slips. Recommendations. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions, after robust engagement with the nominees and being satisfied with their experiences, performances, and academic qualifications, do hereby recommend as follows: that the Senate do confirm the nomination of all the underlisted members as members of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. 1, Mr. Olayemi Cardosso, CBN Governor, as chairman. 2, Mohammed Sani Abdullahi, CBN Deputy Governor, member. Bala M. Mohammed, CBN Deputy Governor, member. MS MM Usoro, CBN Deputy Governor, member. Bala M. Bello, CBN Deputy Governor, as a member as well. Philip Ikeazo, CBN Deputy Governor, as a member. Jafia Lydia Shehu, representing Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, as a member as well. Mr. Murtala Sabo Sagagi, CBN Director, also as a member. Aloysius Odu, as a member. Mrs. Aku Odin Kemelu, as a member. Mr. Mustafa Akinwumi, as a member. And Mr. Bandele A.G. Amo, as a member. The committee wishes to express our profound appreciation to the Senate for this opportunity.
Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Olayemi Cardosso as chairman of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in support of this confirmation say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Olayemi Cardosso as chairman of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria is hereby confirmed. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Muhammad Sani Abdullahi as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Muhammad Sani Abdullahi is hereby confirmed as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Bala M. Bello as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in support of this confirmation say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Bala M. Bello as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria is hereby confirmed. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Emmet Musoro as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor of this confirmation say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Emmet Musoro is hereby confirmed as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Philip Ikeazo as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Philip Ikeazo as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria is hereby confirmed. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate further confirm the nominee Lamido Yuguda for appointment as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor of the confirmation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Lamido Yuguda for appointment as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria is hereby confirmed. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Moritala Sabo Sagagi for appointment as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Moritala Sabo Sagagi is hereby confirmed as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Aloysius Ucheodu for appointment as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Aloysius Ucheodu is hereby confirmed as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Aku Pauline Odim Kemelu for appointment as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Aku Pauline Odim Kemelu is hereby confirmed as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mustafa Akiumi for appointment as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mustafa Akiumi is hereby confirmed as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Bandele Amo for appointment as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Bandele A.G. Amo is hereby confirmed as member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. So let me commend the chairman and members of the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions for the expeditious delivery of the report of their screening exercise, very painstaking, highlighting the qualifications, the experiences, and the capabilities of the various nominees presented by Mr. President for consideration and approval. And further commend Mr. President for selecting men and women of great expertise that will help us with policies to turn around the Central Bank of Nigeria and redirect the monetary policies of the Federation for the good of all Nigerians. And finally, let me also commend my colleagues, the distinguished senators, for their contributions and efforts in ensuring that the screening, the reports, and the entirety of the approvals and confirmations are done, their contributions, and everything. So, Chairman, congratulations for the expeditious manner in which this was carried out. And I congratulate the members of the MPC of the Central Bank of Nigeria. I wish them well and pray that they will use their expertise to redirect the monetary policies, including even contributions to the fiscal policies to ensure that Nigeria gets out of the current economic quagmire. Leader of the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Southeast Development Commission charged with the responsibility, among other things, to receive and manage funds from allocation of the Federation account for the reconstruction and rehabilitation of roads, houses, and other infrastructural damages suffered by the region as a result of the effects of the Civil War, as well as tackle the ecological problems and any other related environmental or developmental challenges faced by the southeastern states of Nigeria and for related matters 2004. Third reading taken. The bill read the third time and passed. This bill is a very important bill that has been passed by these 10 senates. And so I had to hit the gavel to underscore the fact that this bill addresses all the fears of our brothers and sisters and my in-laws. And my in-laws in the southeastern states of Nigeria. I want to say congratulations to you all, and I pray that this commission will bring a lot of development and will also assist you to stop any form of agitation and bring peace to the region. And I've just been reminded by the Deputy Senate President, Distinguished Senator Danduse. Senator Kawu, please don't be angry with Senator Sadiq. Thank you. I've just been reminded that with the passage of this bill today, the Southeast is no longer marginalized. I don't know whether where is Senator Ifeanyi? He's not here. No, Baribe will relay my message to Senator Ifeanyi that with the passage of this bill, the Southeast is no longer marginalized. And so, yes, so Senator Ome, it shows the love that this 10th Senate has for the Southeast. See the expeditious way in which this concurrence was handled. And I pray that when we harmonize everything and it is ascended into an act of parliament, that it will address all the fears and challenges of the region. Congratulations to the Southeast, and thank you to all the distinguished senators for the support and contributions to this bill.
Senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My lead debate on harmonized retirement age for legislative officers of the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The bill was read for the first time on Tuesday, 30th January 2024. The bill seeks, distinguished colleagues, to make provisions for a harmonized retirement age for legislative officers of the National Assembly, exempting them from the application of the General Service Rule on retirement age. Mr. President, respected colleagues, the bill provides for the retirement age of legislative officers to retire at the age of 65 years or 40 years of service, whichever is earlier. You would agree with me that the National Assembly is a specialized institution which needs to be strengthened, and to achieve this, its officers need to be placed well by removing them from public service rules on retirement age. This is in line with the international best practices. For the avoidance of doubt, distinguished colleagues, in the United States Congress, because of the need to ensure institutional memory, legislative officers retire at the age of 65 years, and same is also applicable to the British Parliament. We also have examples of other countries with similar provisions in the laws establishing their parliament. Of the three arms of government, the National Assembly is the least developed, and this can be attributed to the dearth of its qualified staff who were caught up by the public service rules on retirement age. Considering the importance of the legislative service, the passage of the bill into law will strengthen the legislature as an arm of government, as similar legislations are provided for other arms of government in Nigeria. The legislations passed to increase the retirement age for all the services in the executive and judiciary arms, for the avoidance of doubt, are as follows. 1. Harmonized retirement age for teachers in Nigeria Act 2022, passed by this Parliament. 2. Retirement age of staff of polytechnics and colleges of education Harmonization Act 2025 for academic and non-academic staff, passed also by this Parliament.
Come again, 2020 what?
Retirement age.
2020 what? Because you said 2025. No, I'm saying for the purpose of record, it's good to let you know we haven't reached 2025 yet.
2012 for academic and non-academic. 3. Universities Miscellaneous Provisions Amendment Act 2012 for university lecturers, also passed by this Parliament. And 4. Harmonized retirement age for judicial officers from 65 to 70 years, passed also by this Parliament. Mr. President, respected colleagues, this bill is geared towards making provisions for the retirement age of legislative officers. And please note my words, legislative officers who are staff of the National Assembly, but the provision does not include the following: drivers, porters, cleaners, security guards, messengers, typists, craftsmen, mechanics, clerical officers, gardeners, stewards and/or cooks, and foremen. Mr. President, respective colleagues, given that legislative officers of the National Assembly are eminently qualified to have their retirement age increased from 60 to 65 or 35 to 40 years in service, whichever is earlier. This will strengthen the institution for an improved service delivery, stabilize and develop the capacity of the legislature for a sustainable democracy in Nigeria. Permit me to state here that the enactment of this bill will help save the institutional memory of the National Assembly and will also be cost-effective in the long run, considering the cost of engaging consultants. The rate of turnover of members of the National Assembly every election year puts the legislature into dilemma of training the new members, but the effect is not felt because of legislative officers with in-depth knowledge of processes, practices, and procedures of the legislature that are still very much in the system. Consider what will happen if they are affected with the public service rules on retirement age. This will throw the institution into another level of learning process that will place a heavy financial burden on the National Assembly engaging consultants. The cost effectiveness of this bill for a harmonized retirement age for legislative officers of the National Assembly, Mr. President, is laudable. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, this bill went through rigorous legislative process, including public hearing in the House of Representatives, and was passed. The bill was passed by the House of Representatives. The bill, as was passed by the House of Representatives, is slightly amended to meet with the present realities, as we will see in the report for clause-by-clause consideration in the Committee of the Oath. I must also add that it was the initiative of the leadership of the Senate, as well as distinguished members who at committee level had a chance to go through this, by insisting that legislative officer, there should be a proper definition of legislative officers. And it was because of that that those exemptions were made. I therefore, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, urge you all to support the second reading of this bill to encourage legislative officers to continue to offer professional services to this institution as we refer it to the Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I thank you.
Yes, distinguished Senator Ismail.
Colleagues, I am here to support what the leader of the House, okay, I thought we were starting the debate. Mr. President, I am here to second the motion heavily moved by Senate Leader. I so second, Mr. President. After seconding, Mr. President, I just want to add 1 or 2 words in line with the submission and to show my support on this bill. It is in 2 areas. The first one is that, Mr. President, we are practicing bicameral legislation. And by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are the Senate. We are partners with the House of Representatives. They have started this very important legislation and they are finished. They are looking for our concurrence for the bill to become the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I think in the spirit of togetherness, we are to support all what came from the House of Representatives. 1. Secondly, Mr. President, I am supporting this proposal, or I am supporting this bill because of one fundamental issue. If we can remember, in 2009, 2010, when we started the process of amending Nigerian Constitution, the Senate and the House constituted a committee, Constitutional Amendment Committee, as we have it today. I am glad to say the gentleman sitting before you is the secretary of our committee of the Constitutional Amendment in the 6th and 7th Assembly, the clerk of the Senate of today. If you see how he works day in, day out, to put the committee and the National Assembly, more particular House of Representatives, through to have the first amended Constitution from 1964 to date, on that very material time, you must commend his effort. 1. Secondly, Mr. President, when we are doing it, he attended so many conferences, so many seminars. We have so many engagements locally and internationally to have knowledge on how to amend the Constitution. And we have achieved in starting amending Nigerian Constitution bit by bit to where we are today. If you check or if you look what he is doing to promote as a technical aspect of legislation in this chamber, the way he is guiding the chamber, now, without this legislation, or without passing this legislation, he is going to retire very soon, which there is serious issue on that aspect. We are losing men, and most of this work is by brain, not a physical. Therefore, I am supporting this amendment, and I am urging our colleague to support this amendment because legislation work is professional, it's very special. It's not like the other civil service work I saw submit, Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Kawo. Is anybody that is opposed to it, raise your hand. Senator Baribe.
I have looked at the lead debate. Let me put on record, Mr. President, that I'm opposed to this extension. And I have looked at the reasons given by the Senate leader on why we should extend. First one, that there's a harmonized retirement for teachers. We passed the teachers' bill here, and we know the reason why. Teachers, lecturers, and others are the bedrock of raising the society and the level of, I will say, the development of the country. And so when we looked at it, and the rate at which people were leaving this country because of very low pay, we said, no, let us help. I've also looked at the ones for universities, which is about what we passed about the same time, and for judicial officers. Then coming down to the officers of the National Assembly, I ask a simple question. My distinguished colleague here has said, just take an example of somebody who has knowledge. If we go to specialized knowledge, I ask, the person in the Ministry of Finance who is a director, does he not have specialized knowledge of finance? Would we say that it is so different from the person who is in the finance sector inside this place? And when you now say that, that one person here has knowledge, every director here has a deputy. Every clerk here has a deputy. And each and every one of them are trying to also, when the people retire, they also go up. When they go up, other people are now employed. Then we want to stultify employment to make sure that somebody stays here beyond the public service rules. The third one, Mr. President, is that what will the Nigerian public say of us? That because we have people who work inside here as our staff, then we want to make them very different from the rest of the staff in the public service of Nigeria. I think that if we say that, people have knowledge, they have to stay, why wouldn't we go ahead and pass a harmonized bill for everybody in this country and let everyone move up? Why should it be special here? And I continue to insist. The core and the work here is done by us as elected people. Every person inside here who works as support staff must have He's training from the time he begins. So we cannot use that they are not trained or they are not this as a reason. We are replaced every 4 years. We know that. And we cannot say, oh, let us expand because of that. No. Until a special reason is given. And I do not see, Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I do not see what separates the person who works inside here as a staff of the National Assembly from the person who works in the Ministry of Commerce as a staff. Until we can say that, then we will say, okay, there is something very different. And so, Mr. President, I do not support the extension. I so.
Motion, bill heavily moved by the leader for 5 important reasons. Because if you look at the situation this country is, and considering this bill, it will create a vacuum to the other ministries. Because all of them, they will come and posterity will judge us that we have done what is wrong. Because this bill is, if you spend 35 years in service, and some of them even, their age is overdue in their services. And as a matter of fact, we have graduates and unemployed people in this country that are pit deemed to take positions in that respect, and they are denied responsibility to come to serve under this very important institution. And as a matter of fact, we are making things difficult in this country instead of solving what we are supposed to solve. Because somebody who spent 35 years in service and demanding another, if it is in academic line, is training and retraining of our young and graduates to come into something. But for this one, Mr. President, there is a lot of issues which we have to look at it. What more of the rest of the drivers and the cleaners and the ones that were exonerated in this bill? Are they not human beings? So as a matter of fact, we have to look at the reality of even the situation, economic situation we are. So that is why I'm voicing my mind to oppose this very bill for austerity reason. Thank you, Mr. President.
We have a lot of things to do today. Senator Kawu has spoken in support of the bill. I also wanted to hear from those who are opposed to the bill. And I've seen so many hands here who are opposed to the bill. Therefore, the bill is controversial. My opinion is that we step it down for more consultations. Is that the view of the Senate? Okay, I put the question. I put the question. Those in support of the motion that were of the view that we step it down for further consultation, say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, next item. Very good, but some are more distinguished. Distinguished Senator Alero, you were the first person to come to me. You were the first person to come to me to say you are opposed to this bill. So what then? What changed your mind? What made you a born again? And I'm saying that the same way that the same way you have been convinced now, the same way you have been convinced, because you came first and said you were opposed to it. Now that you are for it, allow them to lobby others to also be for it. I don't want to go into contentious issue. We have a lot to do in this Senate, so I rule you out of order. Yes, Senate Leader.
Well, regarding the screening of members of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and we did this consonant with the constitutional provision that the appointment by Mr. President, the nomination must be ratified by this Senate. And since we had done that, and in overriding public interest, a very crucial meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee has been fixed for next week, Monday. And in further view of the fact that we are not going to be able to sit again before Monday for us to be able to approve the votes and proceedings as is required for the National Assembly to be able to transmit this confirmation to Mr. President, may I most respectfully move that we step down the other items on the order paper for today so that we can adjourn temporarily and reconvene for us to approve the votes and proceedings so that the decision can be immediately transmitted. I so move, Mr. President.
Can the Senate tries, and even Senator Natasha has a motion which has been stepped down 5 times. But in view of the circumstances of the need to reposition the economy, I think it's important that we put the question to suspend other items on the order paper to enable us adjourn, reconvene to approve the votes and proceedings to enable the MPC meeting to take place on Monday. So those who are in support of the motion that we step down the other items on the order paper, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So the Senate is hereby adjourned till 3 p.m. No, it's 2 o'clock. It's 2:30. So, yes. So how long do you need? February 2024 at 4 p.m. This was called by the National Institute, which was slated for 3 o'clock, in meeting room 231. And from there, we now come over to the next sitting at 4 p.m. And please take cognizance of what the Senate Chief Whip said, that the next sitting should include the motion of Senator Oduagan as